Hello, I'm back at my home. Hi, I'm sitting in my rocking chair, rocking gently back and forth, going, what just happened? What is going on? Are all of our institutions crumbling? You know, like, I guess we're spoiled here in the United States. And yeah, I'm in Maine. I'm in southern Maine. You know, I'm not, in southern Mongolia or just, in some other area where there's, war-torn strife and other things like Ukraine or whatever. But I had mentioned earlier and many, many times that I believe that our institutions are crumbling, and I don't know if it's just that all the adults have retired and moved on and passed on, and now the people running the country and the institutions are the kids who used to get caught playing with matches. And they're like, fuck you, I'm not going to do it. Juvie. All the juvies are like fucking running the country, and including Congress, which is funny that the whole thing that, I'm not going to get into that, Kevin, But the fact that I just restarted my health care, because I'll tell you what, I'll just start, and this might be a separate video, and I know this is lengthy, and I know I talk a lot, and people are like, oh, you should do a TikTok video, 15 seconds, and let everyone know what you think. Really, in 15 seconds? Maybe just if I went like that with my eyebrow in 15 seconds, maybe that would work, but I have to communicate and pontificate. It's part of my culture. I'm Irish. What are you going to do? And apparently Anthem, Blue Cross Blue Shield, I don't know if it's the same thing. It's like Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, or is it just Barnum and Bailey, or is it Ringling Brothers and Anthem Blue Cross? I don't know, but they're both fucking circuses. I'll tell you what happened. They got in a fight with Maine Health, which is the big conglomerate that owns all the hospitals now in this part of the state, and they were Maine Health was overcharging my insurance company for things. Like, for instance, I went to the last cardiac appointment I went to in April lasted about 4 minutes. It was like speed dating. The doctor was retiring, so he could give a fuck. No, I'm not saying that but when you're retiring, say you have a job and you're like your last day, and you're like, yeah, I'm just gonna phone this in. And, I'm not saying he cut corners or anything, but it was just a 4-minute appointment, right? They charged my insurance company $600 for just a little office visit. Nothing, hey, everything's fine, okay. And then they recommended I do take a stress test. Because at the time, I guess they were scheduling them and you could get one. Now, boy. So I got a stress test, and it happened to fall on the day that I started a new job. And I don't know about you, but I don't like to start a new job and call up and go, hi, I'm not coming in today. That's generally frowned upon. And yes, it is the cannabis industry, but still. So then I got a nasty letter from the cardiac department saying that they were going to consider dropping me as a patient. I'm like, what? I want to drop you. And so I got a little angry at that, and that's another thing. But, I don't take any shit from corporations and big places that are billion-dollar places and So I decided this fight is generally between the insurance company and, two billionaire multinational fucking investments and stockholders. I don't let them fight, okay? I'll be over here in the corner eating my crumbs. So I said, I got one medicine. It was my blood pressure medicine. I'm going to keep that because I know I have a couple more refills. I could probably make it until these billionaires figure out and fight and then, fix their problems. So by the end of 2022, they resolved their differences, which means, everyone's happy except for us. That's usually what happens. So I was able to maintain just with the blood pressure medicine, but then I started getting little boop, 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 a little heart flutters because I had a heart attack in 2008. And so since then I've been sort of maintaining, and luckily I survived, and I don't want to have another heart attack, but I've thought for a while I might have another heart attack. And so I did not. Luckily, I gambled because that's what we have to do. And that's what I try to explain to these I had an incident with a doctor when I was in the hospital, and I have to tell you about that too. And I know this is a lot of words. People don't like words anymore, but maybe that's the problem. Is that the communication is so poor. And I saw a great example of that in the hospital. I had great chats with like the nurses and even like the people that do the cleaning and stuff and empty the friggin' garbages. I had nice conversations with them because they were nice. And I kind of like, you know, and I was like, hey, is everything, what's the matter with this place? You know, is everything, oh, it's dysfunctional and whatever. I know. And I said, I know, I work for the post office. Believe me, I know dysfunction. You know, and so I had nice little side chats, but not with the doctor. There was a doctor, this kid, you know, must have been like 30 something, comes in dressed in, I don't know, they don't wear like the lab coats anymore. I don't know. Is this a doctor or is this a guy coming here to empty my garbage? I don't know. They all look the same now. But I noticed from his swagger and his attitude, oh, you're a doctor. Okay. Okay, Chad. So then he comes in and he says, hey, what's going on? What's going on? I don't know. Maybe I'm old school in that they used to have, I know they're not having paper charts anymore, but it used to be a clipboard, right, with charts on there. And it would be in a little pocket thing next to the door or on the door, you know, and then let's see what's going on with Mr. Clark here. Okay, yeah. Okay. And then they'd come in and then they'd start talking and say, well, so Mr. Clark, I see by your chart here this. Can you tell me what you're experiencing? That way they get a feel for, you know, what you're experiencing versus the doctor's notes on the clipboard. I understand that. I understand that everything's electronic now. But this guy fucking totally winged it. Wung it or winged it? I'll have to look that up. Maybe that'll be a second video. I don't know. So he comes in with his swagger and he's like, yeah, what's up? Oh, you stopped your health. What's the matter? You know, why would you do that? That's just crazy. I don't understand that. You know? And I said, well, I explained to him, you know, there seemed to be a problem with Anthem and Maine Health, and the patients were suffering because of it. I just wanted to take myself out of that. I didn't want to get a bill for hundreds of dollars for things that you normally cost just a few. Because there was a lot of overcharging and a lot of sketchiness there, and I hope someday there's some kind of class action thing because it's not fair. But I stopped taking care of myself because of their greed. And I tried to explain that in not such a socialist terms that he would, you know, not totally back away from me. Just like in just, you know, hey man to man, this is what happened. I had to take care of my family, put food on the table. I don't understand. I have Anthem. I didn't have any problems. Really? See, I have the bronze plan, okay? That's the one I can afford. Bronze, the family plan, right? Bronze, you know, bronze, silver, gold, right? I'm third place, or even lower than that. I don't know how they determine it, but I was down there. That's my plan. Now, maybe you have a high, you know, frat brothers plan or something, I don't know, but you know, obviously you didn't have any problems, but the rest of us did. It got to the point where the guy's like going, I don't understand at all, you know, I just don't get it. Why would you not take care of yourself? And so my heart started going a little bit. I'm like, okay. And I saw the monitor. My heart was going up. Why? Because this guy was really getting under my nerves, and he was exactly the reason why I stopped taking care of myself, because of this ignorance, this like not understanding that how it affects normal working class people. Okay, and finally, at one point, I just said, "It's a working class thing." I didn't say it's a working class thing you wouldn't understand, but that's what I meant. And that shut him up. I never saw him again for the rest of the time that I was in the hospital. I don't know, he probably just took off or didn't want to deal with me. But like, he didn't understand. I don't understand, you know. Well, I don't understand going to Aspen to go skiing. Okay, that's your lifestyle, that's your life. I don't understand, okay? But I don't make a big deal out of it, and I don't like hold you to that. Why can't you understand that some people have to put food on their table. You are in a position where you're dealing with people from all walks of life. We're in Biddeford, Maine, which has a lot of working class people, even though they're trying to kick us all out. This is not a time where you should be like, boy, poor people? Why don't you just ask your dad for money? You know, that was the kind of attitude I got from that. I got a little bit of that from another woman until I mentioned, oh, you know, I got the cholesterol issue. It's a familiar thing, Irish heritage. You know, she's like, oh, yes, I'm Irish too. And then she calmed the fuck down and she understood. I got the stress test scheduled the next morning. I slept in basically a gurney that I think they put into ambulances. So it's like 5'5" in length. My feet are dangling off this thing. Luckily, I wasn't in the hallway in the emergency room. I was in a separate room. It looked like it was a closet at one point or something, and they converted it to a room. So I have my own emergency room, which is really fancy. That's like the white privilege thing. It's like there's levels of white privilege until you get to the point where you're, maybe not, whatever. So I was lucky in that regards, and thank you. I appreciate it. I should have had a hospital bed, but they didn't have one for me, and that's fine. I just slept like that. I don't care. I've slept in worse areas. So, got the stress test, put my arms up and went under the CAT scan, and they did this and that, and I did the treadmill thing, and I did pretty good. It's because I was a FedEx delivery person, and post office, I had to run and hustle. You had to hustle. And so my legs and my body are in better shape than my mind is. Let's just put it that way. So anywho, in better shape than I like that. That looks good. Everything in the test was normal. There were no blockages found. Thank you. What it was is my heart rate is very fast. Can you tell? I had a nice dance beat. After the stress test, it took me like an hour. I'm just like waiting, and I'm looking in the hallways. There's nobody in the hallways of the hospital. I'm out there with my ass hanging out of my what do they call that? The Johnny? Yeah, it's my Johnny. So I had a Johnny, and a Johnny in the middle of the hallway. I'm like, what's going on? Do I press the button? Right? That's the whole thing. Is we're like from the thing. I don't want to press the button. I don't want to bother anybody, because it's usually we're the ones that get bothered. So we understand. We have compassion and empathy when people are bothered. We're usually the ones that get bothered. So we're like, okay, I don't want to do that. So anyway, finally somebody comes by, and it's not even somebody whose job it was. It was a nice person who came by, and I was like, what's going on here? And it was someone who, I don't know, they're not RNs, they're not LNs, I don't know, there's something, they were doing, maybe even cleaners, I don't know. There was very nice people doing that. They had better bedside manner than the doctors. So this woman came by, and she helped me out, and she hooked me up with a menu, so I got something to eat. Oh, great, I haven't eaten in 19 hours. Had not had anything to drink or eat in 19 hours. I had done the stress test and been clean for that, no eating. But then it was past that point. So I was getting a little hangry. And I started eating. I had a chicken salad. It was good. I had a salad. And I was like, my heart rate went to 150 because I was like eating with such gusto. I guess they would call that, or they used to. I don't know. And so the alarms went off. Ding, 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 ding. My heart rate was too high, right? Because I'm eating. I'm enjoying it. I like to eat, I can't eat that much now because apparently I got diabetes. And so I'm the new Wilford Brimley, but I'm going to call myself Wilford. Wilford Bromley. That's my new name. So I went and ate this, and the alarms went off, and there was concern that my heart rate was really high. And I said, by the way, I haven't had my blood pressure medicine in 24 hours. Perhaps maybe you can give me one of those. I know it's going to cost me like $100 for one fucking pill. But maybe that'll help. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but, I probably could do just as well as far as these fuckers. So I got my blood pressure medicine. Everything calmed down. Then they decided they're going to admit me to the upstairs to the hospital. So I was like, I'm just ready to go. I just was here for a routine test, but because the system is so failed, fucked up, I had to fucking check myself into the fucking ER for just a normal procedure, right? I said, I'm ready to go. I want to go home. I got to go to work. What the fuck? Got to pay for these fucking bills, or maybe not. So they admitted me upstairs. I was like, okay. I'm upstairs for about an hour. And boy, I had a chatty roommate. Oh, fuck. Well, sometimes it's all right because I wanted to chat. I wanted to talk to people. This guy was an old Franco-American fella from Sanford, and very nice. You know, we talked about everything from Elvis, and he was going to celebrate his 50th anniversary in August. Very nice guy. And then his sister and his wife came to visit. His sister used to be a nurse there in the same hospital, so she knew what the fuck's going on. And I was like, talking about the dysfunction of this place. I said, where are the adults in the room? They're all gone. You know, why is this place so messed up? And I know everyone's short-staffed, but this is, I don't know, a little bit beyond that, because the people that were there, some of them just didn't give a fuck, right? And we talked about that a lot. And we also, you know, it was kind of sad to hear his story because he had a lot of problems. It didn't sound like he was going to be, I don't know, on this earth for a very long time. And I felt very sad because his 50th wedding anniversary was coming up in August. You know, so I'm about there in an hour, and I have the papers. I can go home now. Okay, so I got admitted to a room for about an hour. I'm sure that they're going to charge me a whole day for that fucking room. Well, better not. So on my way out, I shook the guy's hand, you know, very nice guy, and I said, you know, you got to make it to your anniversary. You know, you got to make it to August. Okay, bud. You know, never see him again, and he might die tomorrow. He was supposed to get operated on today, or the day that I was there. The ambulance driver, who had cardiac background, so he knew how to take care of cardiac patients on the way, on transport on the way to Main Med in Portland, right? He didn't show up for work that day. Just called out sick. I'm going to call out sick. Sound familiar? Yeah. So now this guy is in the hospital for 2 extra days, right? Because they don't do operations on the weekends, because you know, those people don't fucking work on the weekends. I do. Everyone else does, but no. So this poor fella is going to sit 2 days. They're just giving him morphine, right? Giving him morphine the whole time, probably to shut him up because he was very chatty. And I like that, you know, because I'm chatty. So we had a nice time, but the nurses, not so much. The nurses like, oh, your 50th anniversary, okay, whatever. And this guy had problems going to the bathroom. And I'm like, they gave you morphine. That's going to give you constipation. Yeah, you're going to have problems. Do they give you anything else? No. Okay, well, that's dumb. So then we started talking about Elvis, right? And this is great. We were talking about Elvis. That's how Elvis died. Yeah, I was supposed to go see Elvis in Augusta the day after he died. You know, he's supposed to perform at the Augusta Civic Center, which is true. August 17th, 1977, supposed to be at the Augusta Civic Center. August 16th, he died on the toilet because he was trying to take a shit, and he couldn't because of all of the, all the drugs, including the sort of morphine-type drugs that he had in his system. So I was mentioning that, and then I'm like, they just gave you morphine and you can't go to the bathroom. Well, that's, and then got the Elvis talk. He said he had the Elvis tickets, and he sold them years ago. Said he wished he held on to them. So that was a nice little sidebar. And basically, the conclusion is, we have problems. There are some big problems in government, in mail delivery, in hospitals, everywhere. And you know what? People are profiting from these problems, right? The banks and mortgage companies years ago bet against people. They're like, oh, these people are going to fail. They're going to like default, right? So they bet against them. And then they fucking lost the people. And eventually those bogus loans caused the economic crisis in 2008-9, whatever it was. And then the banks were too big to fail. We have to like bolster the banks up because they're too big to fail. And then the government gave them our money to bail them out, and then they took that money and said thank you, and then offered big bonuses to these motherfuckers up above in their companies. And so what did that do? Oh, it created this climate here that we're in now. Spoiled rich kids get everything, and we get fucking nothing. And we're supposed to like it? Nope. I don't like it. And that's the rest of the story.